funny. Like, I know I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack for saying something like this or even admitting something like this, but I've never been the biggest Beyoncé fan, you know? There's music of hers that I like or have liked in the past. I think that there's parts of her that when she was growing up in her musical career, I felt that I related to. But somewhere along the way, that got lost. And this is not anything to talk about my relationship with this particular artist. It is really to delve into music in general and its influence on us. And I'm speaking of this particular artist just because the influence is great. Not only is it a great influence, there was a particular reason why I deflected and navigated away from this person's music as well. It was at one point in time when I was listening to Single Ladies and when she would sing the chorus, right? Or the chorus, the verse, just that whole, all the single ladies, all, whatever, I don't have the beat right. But it was something about the song. There was something about parts of the song that kept feeling like my mind was being hypnotized. It felt like I was falling into a circle, a pattern. And the only thing that I can think of is, those graphs that they show you that are supposed to hypnotize you, whether they go in circles and they're black and white, or maybe they're some type of a maze, but it's supposed to hypnotize you. And for some reason, whenever I would listen to that song, that was the first thing that I would always think of as soon as she would start to hit that. And if you're single, then you should have put a ring on it. There was something about the undertone of the music that it was, I don't know what it was, but it was awful. And I couldn't bear to listen to that song. And after that, I just stopped having a likeness for her. I started seeing a lot of things wrong. Her voice, especially nowadays, her voice has gotten extremely deep, and it could be because she's gotten older. I don't know. Who knows? But the thing is that there's a variety of different things that stop me from wanting to listen to this artist. She was never a favorite artist of mine. She always screamed to me, but she had specific songs that were a hit. And eventually I started to hear something different in certain songs that made me turned off from her completely. If none of you are aware, there are allegations with Epstein coming up and who has been on his island, who has been on the flight. Her and Jay-Z are very key people that are known to have flown to that island several times. And what they do to the children is, I don't want to imagine, but we hear stories, right, of what they do to the children, which makes me think about how she produces her music. And she talks about making love. And she's definitely someone who is violent. And she commits pedophilia. And as if to not forget these things, right, while listening to her music, there were a few other things that kept hounding my spirit about her specifically. She has the whole beehive, and I'm not sure if anybody else has heard of this, but I know that it was news to me, right? Because I'm not acclimated in the society of demology and witchery and sorcery. I don't know anything about all of that. So I didn't know that a hive was they're a witches group. I didn't know things like this. I just knew that she had the beehive, and people were calling her a queen, and here in the United States, and I knew that she was climbing very high on the charts with her accolades and what she was doing with music. But one thing that I did know about the pedophilia, right, came recent. What I heard about that's recent. That's all recent. Pedophilia, being involved in Epstein Island, that's all new. What I didn't know or think about until I literally sat down to figure out what it was, this nudge that was compositorily and obsessively pinching me to pay attention to, which I believe that it was God to just be like, hey, this is a mockery. Stop mocking me, right? Let alone the fact that she does pedophilia. If you've heard of these things, should just not participate in her music, period, because she agrees with abusing children. But here's another thing that's awkward about her is she uses a lot of reverse mechanisms when it comes to her music, or backmasking. She's very known for backmasking, right? I don't want to dismiss pedophilia, but we have, as a society, I feel like have dismissed it. That's the reason why they keep coming out with these movies. This is happening to children. Please pay attention. Look at what is happening. I think that we completely dismiss it. But if we can figure out how to make it apply to us specifically, because when it's happening to someone that you don't know, you have a tendency to lack empathy. You sympathize for the person, but there's no empathy for you to actually action into doing anything. And this is the reason why so many children are still suffering, because there are a multitude of people that don't feel it at home and are not doing anything about it, or those of them that feel it at home, they're using it to their advantage in order to escalate in life. So there's a very opposite aspect of the perspective, and the extremism of it. It hinders society from having the ability to unite with an empathetic reasoning to come together to say that this must come to an halt. That being said, though, when it comes to words, I made a video about the spoken word and words in general. Words in general are very strange. And like I said, Beyoncé is the queen of backmasking. So what happens is you are interpreting the music a certain way, but if it's played backwards, it's saying something completely different that you yourself probably disagree with, whether it is a religion of yours or an idealism or a morality aspect. It's something that she's saying that you actually would disagree with if you knew that that's what she was saying forward. And the mystery of it all that a lot of us can't comprehend is the psychological damage that it does to us when we are listening to music like this that is as manipulative as hers. When played backwards, it is going into our subconsciousness. So we don't necessarily comprehend what that means. But the thing is, when we're listening to it in the forefront, when we're listening to it in real time, it's like we're just listening to a regular song. But what our subconsciousness hears is that mirror effect. And I know that there's so many conspiratory reasons why celebrities use the mirror as their background or foreground for anything that they do. They use it to their advantage. It's supposed to be a doorway. It's supposed to be a lot of different things. It's used for a variety of different things. But if we look, right, at a mirror when it comes to words, the mirror reflects the reverse of the message. Therefore, you're subliminally receiving the real message in your subconsciousness. So if she's saying, bow down to her, hail Satan, and whatever else it is that she has been known to say through back masking, that's what your subconsciousness is picking up. And the problem with your subconsciousness and your consciousness is that your consciousness will begin to play out what your subconsciousness picks up. So when they say that in the end times we'll have people that are, they go crazy, right? They turn into something else that you never imagined that they would be. Or people that are literally gradually turning in front of you. Think of, and the biggest thing for me that comes to mind, right? Because she talks about sex a lot. There's music that can possess you or motivate you to want to commit violence and be that extreme. There's music, and we know that can motivate you or make you commit violence against yourself. And what that would be is committing suicide. There's music that will entice you to be sexual. So there's different extremes. It's not just violence. There's also sex. There's also promiscuity. There's also music that will prompt you to want to consume. And when you consume a variety of things. It's not just a habit. It can also be food. It can also be shopping. It can be anything that you have that is a vice, or could potentially be a vice where you become overconsumptuous. This is what music can do to you. So if it can do all of these things, what makes you think that music cannot turn you into a pedophile? There are people today that are trying to sue Beyoncé because they're saying that her music turned them gay. There's a specific song, and it always resonates in my heart when I think about it, and it's called Touch It. And the words are very extreme, but here's my only thing with that song. It's a lot of people that listen to that song. It's a lot of people that are doing a TikTok dance to that song. Adults and children, which is very weird if you break down the words of that song. Why would you allow children to dance to that song, let alone make TikTok videos that are going viral to that song? He says, touch it. Play with your privacy. There's nothing more childish than talking about the act of making love between two adults, two consenting adults, than these words. There's music that can possess you to do a variety of different things. But Beyoncé is very known for backmasking. So, and she pulls out the symbols, which if you go back into psychology, which ancient Kemet revealed that this is the reason why they used a lot of symbols, right? They didn't do it to create anyone to be their slave or to do something or have an agenda that was outside of their own will or God's will. So, I mean, look at the reason why, right? They use back masking. Look at the reason why they use that. It's usually only the people who want to control you, right? Those people who they conspiratorially call aliens. I think they're reptilians. Maybe they're demons or being controlled by demons. Who knows? But there's a reason why they want to cause confusion with drawing things backwards. And it's because when your mind is reading it, right, you're looking at the person. You're looking at the person. Your left is what presumes to be their right. Everything is the opposite. So what you perceive, right? This is the reason why they say you can't go around believing what you perceive. What you're perceiving is not actually what is being absorbed by you, not by your mental capacity, not by the part of the brain that actually matters, because the subconsciousness is what awakens your actions. And if your actions are telling you to be promiscuous, to be violent, to be a pedophile, then that's what you are going to act out. That's what you're going to behave despite your own will, because you've already casted spells on yourself enough to complete this will. Now this becomes your habit. There are people that listen to music on repeat. I am one of them. I get it. You listen to a song that it seems like it gets you and you listen to it on repeat. But sometimes you're actually casting a spell on yourself. And that spell is temperament. It's giving you a behavior to act out in the real world. I only use this particular artist just because it weighs very heavy on my heart about her, right? It weighs heavy on my heart. Not like she's someone that I naturally listen to. She's not someone that I naturally listen to. But if she comes on, there is a big no in my head. There's a big do not do that, or else you are in defiance of me. And when I explored what that meant, and I came up with these different conclusions, she is a known pedophile. She is under the control of her husband. He drugs, manipulates, and keeps her completely sedated. Not only that, have y'all not noticed that she looks extremely lifeless lately? What are we even looking at on the screen? Is that her? Did he one day beat her to the point where she died? And on this land, they had to call it the same as the land in Britain. Therefore, the queen died. I don't know. She looks very lifeless. And it could be because of what she has experienced. Or it could be because she's not actually there. But regardless of the point, her music speaks volumes of itself. She is a pedophile, and she casts spells. And even though that is hard, it could be hard to walk away from because you're part of a culture where she is acceptable. She is accepted. She is a queen. And that's challenging. Does that make you odd? Does that make you different? Does that make you someone that is not acceptable? But then in whose sight are you not accepted? And in whose sight do you choose to be accepted? If at the end of this journey, do you deem yourself worthy to move on to somewhere else? Or are you actually going to have an affected reason to resurrect versus to prosurrect to this earth? Because you were tied to someone that you didn't even know who was actually an awful person in real life. Like, make a decision. She was never somebody that I cling to as an artist. She had hard hits every so now and again. But lately, anytime I attempt to put on her music, I am met with a voice of discernment. And if you look at the facts of the things that she has done, would you not?